Hey everybody, welcome to Friday and happy day. It's beautiful here in Toronto. Hopefully it's going to stay a little bit more like that. So I'm going to talk today. Oh, I don't have my mic on. That would help. All right, let's try that again. All right, here we go again. Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome to Facebook Live at Just for Stagers. So I'm Catherine Lewis-Brown, if I haven't met you before. And I know that we seem to be having a nice influx of stagers coming in. So new stagers, people who are thinking about going into the industry, and also stagers who are, really growing their business, who are really quite successful. So we have like such a great selection because one of the things that is so important to me is being able to sort of pay it forward and share our energy and success and even our failures, because I think our failures become very important. But it's nice when we can also share the successes. Now, one thing I want to make sure that I do for this group too, though, is to share the things that actually apply across the board, which is sometimes hard because sometimes you get in I certainly get in a place of teaching and sharing things that are more for newer stagers or stagers in growth. But to all those stagers who are out there who are doing really well in their business, please be loud and proud about it and talk about it and share your successes, because it's a great way to motivate newer stagers and stagers who are, maybe being challenged just by even location and looking for some alternative ways of marketing maybe, or reaching their clients better. And we've all got amazing things to share. So I end up actually just being really more of a conduit to sharing that stuff. I'm not necessarily the person who knows it all. I hear and talk to so many stagers that and I hear such great nuggets that I am able to share it. So anyway, so I'm really hoping that we'll be able to do that the faster we grow as a group as well. And I have kind of a strategy for that. So I'm going to hopefully we'll have some more people joining the group as well. But daily I have people coming in, so it's perfect. And not necessarily stagers from the normal routes either, which is kind of nice. So we have some new people from all over the place, which is very cool. Hi Penny, how are you doing? Okay, so what I'm going to talk about today is I'm going to talk about, now hopefully I can I bought a new tripod and a little flash. Hopefully it doesn't fly off. It wasn't staying very well. And we'll see what happens. Not a flash, a light for doing stuff on your phone. So here's hoping it works. Anyway, so what I'm going to talk about today is strategies that are going to help you capitalize on your time. And this is really important because one of the things that is really pivotal in a staging business, and I see this all the time, is that it takes a while to get up to speed and to get your business moving to having like regular clients and to having that confidence. Now, as you know, you just need one job and all of a sudden you're an expert at it. You're much, much better than anybody else is, and you're out there being the expert. So that's perfect. But what happens is that in that sort of time frame of you're sort of being always looking for work and thinking about where the work's going to come from, or you're sitting on your butt in your office hoping that your marketing is paying off and people are going to come to you. Now, I got to tell you from experience from every stager that's been in business for a few years that you can't sit on your butt. You have to be proactive. So that's one thing, but that's not really what I'm going to talk about today. But one of the things that becomes really, really, really important as you start to grow your business is all of a sudden, because you're the solopreneur and you've started doing this by yourself and maybe hiring assistant stagers along the way to do job by job with you, as all of a sudden you get busy, and you don't need to be really busy to suddenly have like 4 jobs in a week or even 3 jobs in a week to feel quite overwhelmed and quite busy, and now you're being completely reactive in your business and not proactive in your business. And so that's what I want to help with is to talk about a few strategies to help you get back to working on your business instead of just in your business, so that you can actually grow your business, so that you're not waiting for people to come to you, that you are actually moving forward. And, one of the things that we hear often is that, and I'm totally guilty of that too in my staging, is that that we sit and Monday morning or Sunday night oh no, we've only got one like consult this week and there's no staging, or I only have one consult this month because I'm new and no staging, and what am I going to do, and panic. And I think human nature is, and I was listening actually to Todd McAllister yesterday on the, I think it was from day one of Marianne's Telesummit, and he was talking about how really, as a business owner, we are a salesperson first. We put on our salesperson hat or sales hat. And when we get the job, then we turn into the stager. And I think it's one of those things that we don't really think about as we're starting our business. But not that I'm going to talk about sales, but just having that mindset that we have to get the job first before we can actually work as a stager. So we need to not be reactive and waiting for people to come to us. We need to be proactive and looking for people, building relationships. In fact, actually, I should say not looking for people, being proactive and building relationships, networking with the people who we know are our ideal client or lead us to our ideal client, working with the agents that we can't wait to work with in the areas that we want to work with, in the niche that we love. And when we do that, then we're in a much better place to start having regular business and to be able to build in, which is our priority, the threat of making money. I mean, let's face it, we're in business because we want to make money. And I shouldn't say, maybe I shouldn't put it quite like that. We're in business because we found something that we love to do, and it just so happens, and it had to happen, that we found something that we love to do that pays us. And it's so important that it pays us, because if it didn't pay us, we would not stay in business. And I can tell you from experience that a staging business requires quite a lot of investment as a stager and as a business, because we have inventory and we have overheads that are bigger than most businesses. A lot of businesses really rely on selling someone else's product. They don't necessarily they're not necessarily in the same market as we are, where we're selling a service and then we're also selling a product as well, and being our inventory. And so because of that, we have to be able to recoup and cover our expenses. Otherwise, we can't survive, and we can't reinvest back in our business. We can't market our business, and then we struggle and we're not happy. So my goal really overall in everything that I talk about in this group and anywhere that you hear me is about being really super happy with your business. And that being super happy comes from being able to come from a place of service and helping your client and working with your client, but all the way to being paid by them for your value and what's important to you. And so I think that is really key when we are doing when we're building our business. So to do that, we have to work on our business, not in. So in would be all the things that we do every day. So the things that we get paid for. So the staging part of our business, the inventory part of our business, all the things that actually we can bill out for. That's kind of working in your business. The working on your business comes from the part that where we think about finding new clients, building relationships, sealing the deal, building strategies for our business, looking at what our budgets are, and all the stuff that's kind of like more business minded and things, and that isn't necessarily why you got in business, but really critical. And I will say to that, if it's not something that you are really comfortable doing, if the bookkeeping and the finances is not something that I won't even say that you're not good at, but you don't like to spend your time doing, then you got to hire someone. And it could be somebody that you meet in a networking group who works solely with small business owners. Personally, I would be going in that direction, and someone who can take the handle. You don't have to do it all. And when you hire someone who's sort of on a contract, who does your bookkeeping once a quarter or once a month or files your taxes, that expense is not great. But the pressure off you is massive. Now, the other thing that it alleviates for you is the opportunity is now you can go and spend your time, instead of doing something that you're not fussy on, that's not your greatest love, go and do the thing that is your zone of genius. And if that is your zone of genius, is the thing that that you must deliver to your clients, you must deliver to the people who you serve, which could be that you are amazing at a consultation, then get out there and do your consultations. Or if it's selling or closing the deal, then get out there and do that and get paid for those things, and pay someone else to do something else. And I'll talk a little bit more about that as we go. But basically, you really want to make sure that you are that you are leaving space in your time, and this is kind of what we're talking about, leaving space in your work week to work on your business and not just be reactive in your business and waiting for things to come to you. So the first thing is strategy is to be in control of your schedule. So I really recommend, and I know it's not easy to do this when you're in the beginning of a business, because especially I find a lot of stagers have never been in business before. And so the thought is you look at your real estate agents who are, they're pretty reactive. They have a lot riding on their clients. We do too, but we also have a business to run. And it's not just about us in a car going somewhere and with our laptop. It's like we have things that must be done in order for our business to run successfully, and in order to deliver to our clients. So, where was I leading to that? Oh yeah. So when you hear that agents are busy working and meeting with their clients and busy, I was with a client this week, and the agent was there, doing putty on the wall for her and stuff like that. So, those are all great, and those agents are reactive and there when their clients need them. But from a staging perspective, we can't do that, and we shouldn't do that, because we work, like what we do is quite labor intensive. And in case you haven't forgotten that, I can tell you this because I have not staged as much in the last year. And when I go to stage, I'm like, oh my God, this is exhausting. So you are spending a lot of time and a lot of effort and exerting a lot of energy. And also you have a business to run. So as I say that, what I'm trying to get across is that you need to dictate your schedule. It is not the same schedule as a realtor. It is the schedule that you need for your business. It's not even the same schedule as your clients. Because if you think about when you do your consultations, my consultations, I don't take an appointment usually past about 5 o'clock. And if I can do it earlier than that, I most absolutely do. Like my first choice is to tell them the appointment at 10 o'clock in the morning or 9 o'clock in the morning, or the one at 4 in the afternoon. And if they have a trouble fitting that in, because if I hired a plumber to come and fix my toilet, I would come home to make sure that I was there. So it's the same thing, and we need to take ownership of our time and our value, and make sure that our realtors understand that. And it's not about being tough with them. It's just saying, here's when my next appointment is. You don't have to say that you don't work in the evenings, but you could say that my last appointment that day is on at 4 o'clock. And if they can't fit in with your schedule, then they have to pay a surplus or a surcharge to get you in a little bit later. But you want to be in control of that and do your consults during the day. You also want to avoid, and absolutely, I learned this from the best. When I very first started my business, Kelly Williams was the best mentor I had, and Lori Howard, best mentors. And I learned from them. We do not stage on the weekends. The weekends are for our family. Now, personally, I will tell you, and I know you know this, that when you are when you own your own business, you are still doing work on the weekend. But it's the admin work. It's the working on the business. It's the planning of the business. But it's in your control. It's not that you're billing time out, that you don't have to, you're not asking your team to go out and work, which is really what I think is very important, is that you need to be respectful of your team's time as well as your own. And so you don't plan weekend work, you don't plan evening consultations, and you just say, my next appointment, my next available day is this. And if they ask you if you work on the weekend, which I've maybe had 2 people in 7 years ask me that, and I've said, no, we don't work on the weekends, but our next available date is this. And for staging. And if they ask you why, then it doesn't have to be about family time. It very much can be about the fact that like where I am, my team has worked all week, and so I can't ask them to do that on the weekend too. So they're already working five full busy days during the week. So I don't push them any further for the weekend. Or if they come on the weekend, it's quite an extra surcharge. So it's really not ideal for us. We really like to work when you're not here. Like that's why we choose to really work during the week. Or the other thing could be that your rental company is not open on the weekend, and they have quite a service charge to deliver. So we just don't put our clients through that. So it's much more ideal for us to work during the week. And you don't even have to explain. But if you had to, that's a good explanation. So that would be very important. You also, by doing that, by saying that my next available date is this, or the next time I can fit you in is this, what you end up doing is you demand respect. It demands respect from your clients, and agents, and who don't know, who've never worked with you. You don't want to assume that they're like hard on you, but you want to assume that they just don't know. So you're going to educate them about when you're working. It also creates scarcity, scarcity is a good thing, because when there's scarcity and you're in demand, then they think they must have you because you're in demand and that you're fitting them in, and how great are you to fit them in. So you can create that by having a schedule and sticking to a certain time frame that you're going to work. A second thing that you can do is to have and this kind of feeds into that, is to have the processes and the systems in place that help you to create those standards. So, for example, I know that none of my agents ever expect me to come and do a consultation the day of. And so I've never done it for them. I've never offered it for them. And so they know that when they call me, that I'm going to give them a couple of times they can get back to their client with, and we'll book their client in on one of those times. And they want to work with me. Those agents still come back and want to work with me. I have a particular client when I used to teach across the country, and I would be away for usually, it ended up being close to like 5 days when I would be teaching. And I would have agents call and always the day I was leaving and say, can you come and do a consult for me this week? And I would have to say, well, I'm actually going to be out of town teaching, but I can set you up with one of my colleagues, or I will be back on, and I will do a Saturday morning consult. I like to just do one though on a Saturday morning if I'm asked, because I actually quite like getting up on a Saturday morning in the sunlight and seeing a house in the sunlight, and I find my clients are fresh that day, but I'll only do one on a weekend. And I'll say, so you can wait till Saturday morning or Monday, and I can fit you in on Monday. And but I will always offer that I have someone else that I can send, and they always will wait. They want to wait. So when you set that standard and that you are in demand, they want to work with you. So when you're ready and able, and there's a fine line between being right there and ready and then looking a bit desperate versus creating demand, and there's a bit scarcity in your schedule, and they must want to have you. Okay, so that's something as well. So the processes and the systems really become very important for that, because your realtors know that. They also will know, like if you say to them, they'll know that whatever your systems are, and this is a conversation you always want to have with your realtors, and sometimes you want to go back and remind them, but you always want to have this conversation about how your business operates. That when you do the consultation, your clients can expect, this is what they can expect. When you are providing the quote, this is how long it will take. Typically, you like to have 5 business days in order for turnaround. And you also get paid 100% up front. Here's what the contract looks like. And you expect all your clients, you do not secure a job until you've been paid 100%, and I get paid by credit card. So you can set the standards and about how you work, and that's your system. And I'll tell you, when you kind of veer off that system, it kind of plays havoc. And if you have a team and they know what the system is and you don't stick to the system, that plays havoc. But the other thing is that when you have a team and you have a system, your team knows exactly how that system works, and they rely on that. And they can also communicate that to your clients as well. And they can feel that someone's got their back if they have to defend that system, because they know everybody else in their business is using the same system. So one of the things that that system can really work well for is when you're able to block your week. And I always think that this is such a great way to stage, and I really encourage you to do it, is to think about blocking your time so that when you're scheduling your jobs, that you know when your consultations are going to be, and that Mondays are your admin day, or even Monday morning is your admin day. Maybe you have a team meeting on Monday, or you have like a Zoom call, so you don't actually have to go into the office, and all your assistants that work with you are on do occasional jobs with you, are all there on a Monday morning, and part of a team, even though they don't work full time together. And you have like a Zoom meeting and just say, hey, so this is what's happening this week, blah, 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 blah. And these are the houses we're doing. And so just sort of giving them a heads up what the week looks like and what's happening right now and things like that, giving them a heads up. So you can have your admin meeting on a Monday morning. You can have your, do all your paperwork on a Monday, do your prep for the week, pull all your inventory for each project. that you're doing and put it to the side so that you're all ready for the week and you have a plan. So there's no, I'm terrible at my logistics are terrible, and I feel like everybody must see me as completely transparent that when I would stage that I was running around like with a chicken with my head cut off. And I did not like that. And it wasn't good for me. I'd get to a job and I'd be all stressed and sweaty and exhausted before I even started staging. So, and that's one of the reasons I started shifting to training full time, because I found the balance very difficult to do. And so I'd be training and then suddenly I'd have to be here. And you can equate the same things in your staging business as well. As well. So having those days blocked. So if you have your Mondays, your admin day, let's say Friday was your D-stage day. So if you're booking D-staging, you can say in your contract, Friday is our D-stage day, and we will book for the next available Friday to D-stage. And so that can be part of your process. Or you can say your afternoons are when you D-stage. And so then everybody knows that they can expect that that's when they're going to D-stage. Your movers can know that that's when they need to expect to be available for you is in the afternoons. Or perhaps Tuesdays and Wednesdays are your delivery day, and you get your team, your movers, to deliver on Monday and Tuesday in preparation for Wednesday and Thursday jobs, or Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday jobs. So however it works for you, but I think being able to have this time that is blocked, especially for your admin, because it's the kind of thing that gets like pushed to the back. It's happening all weekend for you, or well into the night. I know many stagers who work well into the night doing the admin, and I totally get that. But I think but we don't want to do that, because the admin part is like you're exhausted when you come home from staging and you're back at home, and then you have to go trucking off to your office and to paperwork. So you want to find a process and a system that really works for you and that doesn't invade the rest of your life, and it really should fit into your work week. Now, I respect that everybody's really busy, so it doesn't always work out like that, but that would be a good thing to do as well. And then I think also what you need to build into your processes and your expectations of your business is that you're also taking care of yourself and your team as well. And that doesn't mean that you get to go to the spa or anything like that. But what it does mean is that you count for lunch, for having time at lunch. Like I worked with someone this past week and they wanted me there at 8:30, and before 8:30 I'm like, no. I don't start staging before 8:30. We're here between 9:30 and 10. And that's like a process that is really important to me, because I value my time that I'm with my kids in the morning. Well, not really. They're kind of painful in the morning, but it's still my time, and it's my get up and start my daytime. And so I get to say when I start and when I schedule. Something else I was going to tell you about in there. Oh yeah. So another thing to keep in mind too, and to make sure you schedule it, and it's not every week, but is education and training and keeping your business going, and doing the things that are important to the growth of your business. So, being able to sit and watch some of these videos, and being able to watch some of other people and go to house events, and go to in Toronto, go to Sofa, which is the Source of Furniture and Accessories building, which is a wonderful place to go. Like they do have those times blocked, and that they take priority. And your RESA chapter meetings are another thing. If you know that they happen, I think there's one happening today in my area. So Friday mornings at between 10 and 12, excuse me, on the first Friday of every month, it's a RESA meeting. So that's blocked in your calendar, and you know that's happening. So it's also very important to keep those things on your calendar. It's not, you can definitely take things in the evening as well, but I find as a business owner, and having done this for a few years, my time in the evening, even if I'm at home doing admin work, it's not time to go and do, for me personally, to go and do stuff like that. I have got to the point now where if I'm doing business work, it's scheduled during the day, and it's an exception to schedule it in the evening. So that would be sort of some advice as well. The other thing to do is to bundle your work. So when you are, so for example, if Monday is your admin day, it might also be the day that you pack up and source and pack for the rest of the week, for your jobs for the rest of the week. And so you're going to bundle and try and do that all at once so that you don't have to, so you have the right team in, first of all, to do it. You're all in the right mindset to do it as well. And then you're all prepared for the rest of the week for all your jobs. The same thing as we were talking about with delivery and the movers. You can do the same thing and bundle that time together. You can bundle your admin time all together. You can decide that every day from 8:30 to 9:30, I do my social media or work on my marketing and all that. So that's all bundled together. Anything that you're going to pre-plan for your marketing, like Twitter feeds or Facebook posts or anything like that, you've got them all scheduled and booked in just on those between 8:30 and 9:30 in the morning, and then you know it's done, and you're not having to, which I can be notorious for, picking up my phone and thinking, oh crap, I forgot to do this, and doing this in the middle of a job when you're somewhere else. So those are the ways that you can sort of bundle as a stager. Sometimes a little bit more difficult if you're doing quotes or contracts, but if you are efficient and you're using like an online source like 17 Hats, and I saw another one actually yesterday and I cannot remember the name, AbSub or something like that, and it had rave reviews in one of the groups that I belong to, and so I thought, well, I might try that and see how that works. But if you are using a process like that, that is actually a system, and that system should be able to really quite quickly spit out your contract and your quote. The same with your pricing, like having a process and a system for creating your pricing. And certainly I teach a process in when I'm teaching pricing that should make it really much easier for you to price and faster and less feeling like it's taking on your whole day. You don't want it to take over your whole day of business either. So that would be something as well. So, and the fourth thing is to think about what someone else could do for less. And that kind of goes back to having the bookkeeper, something that you could bill out so that you can go off and be billing for what you do best and charging more dollars. So if you charge $150 an hour but you need, but you always find yourself packing, like picking and packing in your warehouse and getting ready for jobs, and you're doing that. That means that you are, if you paid someone $25 an hour to do that, and it's funny I should say this because in Ontario, they just passed that they're raising the minimum wage up to $15 an hour. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in small businesses. But so let's say that you're paying a minimum wage $15 an hour. If you had you could pay someone to come in and do that for you, to pick and pack for you. You've given them the inventory list. They know what they're putting together, and they're going to pick and pack. Instead of paying you or you losing really $150 and actually $165 because you could be paying somebody else and they could be doing it so that you could go off and actually get paid $150 an hour. So you want to think about those things. You want to think about the things that you are busy doing the work and you're getting paid Zippo for that work, where you could be turning around and doing what you do best in your zone of genius and charging $150 for. And as I said, that could be sales, it could be sealing the deal, it could be finding the agents and sourcing and figuring out how you want to market to those agents, or doing your marketing materials and things like that. So it can be all sorts. It can be doing the consultations as well, depending on how you do your consultations. So you want to be able to do that as well. Now, what else? You also want to have a plan. Now, I really think the plan is very important. And when I first started my business, I didn't have a plan. And, well, actually, I did have a plan. I shouldn't say that. I did have a plan. It wasn't as specific to my business as I really needed it to be, as the kind of plan that I'm talking about. Because what you need is you need to know how much money you plan to make this year, and you need to know how many jobs I need at this particular, my average value job of $2,500. Let's say I would need to know how many jobs I need at $2,500 in order to make what I need to make at the end of the year, and my goal, and how many agents do I need to have to do that. And so how am I going to target those agents? And you need to know that way back at the beginning so that you can plan your year. And so that when you get to your second quarter and you're looking back at what you did in this last quarter and you're thinking, woohoo, I did great. And you're looking at the numbers and you're thinking, I did better than I thought I was going to. So now you can up your numbers for the next quarter. Or, which is, I think we all feel this is going to happen, we're not making enough. So we don't really want to look at the numbers, But if we were to look at the numbers and actually see, no, we're not too bad. I'm only one job away from my goal for this quarter. And if I get my goal for this quarter, then I'm on target for making my goal for the year. And that comes back to also being reactive rather than proactive. Because if you when we're sitting waiting for someone to call us and with a job, because they must have seen our marketing and they must have needed us. And I talked to that agent last week and she said she had listings coming up, so why are they not calling? But instead of being reactive and waiting for them, we're being proactive because we're also looking at our plan and we know what we need to do in order to that strategy in order to achieve the goal for this quarter, so that we do complete the plan. And you can use that as a roadmap. If you want to, but I think it's something I've listened to. I'm part of a few groups of entrepreneurs, especially women entrepreneurs, and I think sometimes we kind of tiptoe around some of this stuff, and people don't want to do a business plan. They don't want to have a plan to follow, or because they think it's just a lot of work. It's a lot of writing. It's a lot of thinking forward, and it's unnecessary. But the thing is, a plan is actually the best thing for you if you want to be successful with your business. 80% of businesses in their first year don't survive, and they don't survive because they haven't got a plan. Because they haven't built out a target and they haven't planned out where they're going to go in the year. And so they have no strategy. You can't have a strategy unless you know that. Even things like, I don't know why this popped into my head, but even strategies about getting pregnant. When you're going through your cycle and when you're most fertile, when you're most likely to get pregnant. So you make sure that you're ready to get pregnant. And in that process of getting pregnant, you're also planning what my budget is and how much money I'm going to need to save for that. And you have a plan. And if you didn't have a plan, that's when you have oops, and so or you were like me and I did not really have a plan. And so when I met my husband and I was 39 and we went through all sorts of fertility stuff, and that was not part of my plan. That was not part of my budget. And then it ended up that we adopted our children, which was the best anyway, but it's but I didn't have a plan. And things so easily go off track, don't go where you intended them to go, and never get where they're going to go, where you need them to go if you don't have a plan. So having a plan and having a strategy, what I was trying to get to was that having that is really important. Checking in on it, having it on your desk and looking at it at least every couple of weeks to see where you are financially, to see whether you're on target with the number of jobs that you have, and so that you have a really good guide as to where you need to go. I think that is a big piece of working on your business and not just in it, and being proactive, not reactive, and making sure then that you have time, because what in essence you are doing is you are growing your business proactively and with a plan. And so that is a very important piece. You also want to think about prioritizing, because you definitely need new clients for next week. We don't want to be sitting waiting for people to phone us. We know that we need new clients. So if you know that you need them, then you must make finding those clients a priority. And that doesn't mean that, what was I going to say? It doesn't mean that booked customers, so if you have a job scheduled this week, we tend to sort of, just by our natural affinity to want to serve them because they've already paid, we're already doing it. They are not our priority, actually. The people that we need to get in that are going to be in our next calendar for next week, those, and the week after that, those are a priority for us to find. In fact, the people that you are serving right now, the clients that you're going to stage for this week, they're already in the hopper. So you want to have a team or a team leader or just your lead stager, or you too, but mostly you want to be able to know that those people are being well taken care of by your team, that they're experts at what they do. They're going to do the installation that you may have designed already, and they're going to install. And maybe your virtual assistant or your admin person is checking in to make sure that everything is packed, that your movers are packed, that the clients are on track. Meanwhile, you are securing new work. So, and that also comes back down to the idea as well of being able to work in your zone of genius and charge where you can, bill where you can, excuse me, make what you should. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. It's not to say that the paid customers, that are ones you're working on this week, are you're not interested in those, is just to say that you've already got them and you've already got a team that works with them really well. So you don't need to have, you don't need to be doing that. You can be off finding the new ones for the week, next week and the week after, so that every Sunday night you aren't going to bed going, oh no, what's going to happen this week? That you have a team to pay. Okay, so that is a big deal as well. And the other one is making sure that, and this is kind of actually the big one and kind of like the overarching, because this kind of molds your approach and your behavior as well with this, is that to remind yourself continuously that you are the CEO of your business. You are the owner of your business. And so you need to be in control and in charge of that. And when you do that, then you can make really smart decisions, because you can take a step back and be thinking about working on your business to make your business really sing, as opposed to working in your business and being exhausted at the end of the day because you were the schlepper, the packer, the installer, you did everything. And so your goal in your business, if you're not there yet, your goal in your business really should be that you have a team that you can rely on who will do all those pieces of the business for you, that they're not, that you are not the person that has to do it all. And that's how your business will grow. So the purpose of me talking about this was really to sort of create strategies that allow you more time and more structured time to work on the growth of your business, as opposed to, so hardly any of this I talked about was actually about installing. We've referred to it, but it wasn't actually about doing the staging. It was about building your business. And that's and making space for you to be able to do that. And that's what's really important. I hear many stagers and I talk with many stagers who get to a point in their business where they are so busy, which is great, woohoo, because they have, done superior work and they deserve that. But they're now so busy that because they didn't set up the infrastructure when they started their business and the approach and the systems to their business that would allow them to have a virtual assistant part-time, now full-time because they're so busy, or a bookkeeper who started off doing a little bit of bookkeeping and now it does a lot of bookkeeping and more for us because we need that because we're bigger. Because now they're so swamped and they're still doing it all. And so now they don't have time to really grow to be successful in the growth of their business and to enjoy the growth of their business. So they now are working 7 days a week, and they know who they are. And they're working 7 days a week, and they are schlepping in the warehouse. They're doing the consultations. They're meeting with the agents. They're doing all the paperwork. They're negotiating new leases because they're too big for their old spaces. They're buying new vehicles. They're doing everything. And that's exhausting. And it's deflating, and it doesn't make you feel very good about your business because you don't have the time to move and make it really successful, and or as successful as you deserve it to be. And with that success comes the fact that you actually also get to enjoy the benefits and reap the rewards of a successful business. So, being the CEO and the owner, and this is why I say you got to put that hat on, is and make sure that you remember that it's on your head, is that when you're the CEO and the owner of the business, part of the rewards that you reap, I know you got into this business because you love to stage and you love to decorate and you love to do what you can for other people and serve them and with what they need. And you get to decorate and use all the skills and things that you love. But you also, you also get to reap the rewards of being able to spend more time with your family. Your dream is not just about working 7 days a week, 24/7. Your dream is about having enough money now to go and spend it with your kids, to have nice vacations with your family, to be able to say, I'm going to New York City for the weekend, or to be able to, to do the things that you love. Notice the vacations come up a lot in my conversation. To be able to buy a new house, to be able to invest in a new car, to be able to spend time with your husband or partner, and to also be able to imagine that and to think that you are getting older. Now, I will say, because it's interesting, the demographic. I should do a little poll on this, because the demographic of where people fit in the age, in the age, whatever you call that, in terms of age. It would be very interesting to see, because I think for a long time, stagers were this was a second career, or even third, and they were starting at the age of 45, and they were going up from that. I have stagers in my classes now who are in their early 20s, who are doing interior design, and they're adding staging to what they do. So the demographic has changed considerably too, and so their ideal of what a business is going to be changes as well. And one of those things, because a lot of the stagers who started their business at between 40 and 45, 15 years later, they're ready to retire. They've worked their butts off. They're tired. They love what they do, but they're not quite able to yet because they haven't figured out how to make their business profitable without them, and so that they can work on their business and not in it, and not have to work in it 24/7. So anyway, that's kind of like the gist of what I wanted to say. I hope that was helpful. It's really about like rejigging your perspective to working on your business, not in your business, recognizing that your business, you don't have to work for your business should be working for you, that you should be able to make the income that you want to, make the revenues. I mean, being self-employed is kind of cool. You definitely, you know, and usually in your first couple of years of business, you've taken a bit of probably a financial hit because you've left a full-time job, and now you're kind of going up and down a bit, and wanting to be consistent. But with planning and with using systems and the right processes and thinking ahead and planning where you want your business to be, that most definitely can happen. And and I think we all have the potential to do as well as we want to. And I will also say that doesn't always mean that you have to work. Well, actually, I would say as well that we didn't all set out to work full-time in our business, in our staging business. Some of us set out to work this as a part-time business or to add it into an interior design business as another service. But staging has really sort of taken off in that the consumer is expecting it, and in a lot of places now, which is wonderful to see, but that also changes the whole dynamic of how we have operated our businesses previously. If you're a designer and you thought you'd add staging because it would add another service, another level of income, you can find yourself completely swamped with staging and no time to do interior design. And so that kind of comes into play as well, because you want to make sure that you have time to do the things that you love as well, not just the things that, not just the staging. And as we know, again, this kind of plays into staging as a very reactive business. And when someone calls and says, I need a consult or I need staging done, it's kind of, we tend to drop everything and plan ahead for that. Whereas if you have a design client, that's a long-term plan. And so trying to fit a long-term plan in there with a quick, short, immediate plan, it takes a little bit of juggling and figuring out, and implementing processes and systems, having a team that really believes in that and works to that end, and having the team that picks up the ball and the places that you don't necessarily need to be working so hard. So anyway, that's about it for me. I'm really looking forward to I'm going to keep doing these every Friday, and sometimes we get just a few people on, but that's totally understandable because we are busy, and I'm doing this during the middle of the day, and you know, you're all out there working your butts off. But usually by the end of the weekend, it's like we've got quite a lot of comments and a lot of views, which is really good. So I'm going to keep doing them. And I'm hoping that I have a few people lined up. I have someone who's going to talk about color for us one day, and I'm going to interview. And I'm hoping I've got a couple of other people. I know that I'll put her on the spot now, but Christy Morrison's going to come on at one point and talk about systems and how to build in the best systems into your business. And you probably know Christy from her book that she has, which I have a copy of here somewhere, about systems and processes for stagers and designers, and which I wrote a little bit in. But so she's going to come and talk and be sort of one of our experts, and we'll get her on. And so anybody else who thinks that they have a topic that they'd really like to talk about and that like to share, like if you love working with seniors, like I know that I think Martha Stanton Smith loves to work with seniors. Like if you have some models that you think that would be really great to share, just let me know, because I'd love to have you come on and talk on a Friday morning, and we can spend half an hour to an hour just chatting about how the industry works related to what you want to talk about. It's not really it's not really a selling opportunity, but certainly if you have something that supports what you're talking about that I think would be good, we can certainly mention it as well, or put a link to it. But for sure, it's really about sharing best practices and tips and providing, and being there as a supportive industry. I think I always am really impressed by this industry because I have friends who are in the who are in interior design and friends who are in the photography industry who have found that there is nothing like this in the industries that they work in. That it's very competitive. Nobody shares. Nobody talks to each other. And so I'm always very proud to be part of this industry because it's something that we don't worry about, and that well, I take pride in it, but I'm so impressed by the number of people who do. Like even in my successful stager certification class, we have a Facebook group, and the group is really great, and they're very supportive. And there's a couple of stagers, one in particular I can think of, who's brand new at this and just sort of landed in the deep end with a bunch of stuff to do, a bunch of work to do, and everybody's so helpful and supportive and encouraging, and they're quite far away from each other physically, but they all have the same good and bad things and experiences to share. So it's all really good. All right, so I'm going to let you go. We're a little bit early today, so we did 45 minutes, but and I hope you have a wonderful weekend. And it's starting to be more spring-like, and except it's June, and it should be a beautiful weekend. So don't work too hard, and remember, kind of try and see if you can take your work this weekend that you thought you were going to bring home with you, and see if you can think about doing it on Monday. One other tip I actually should suggest to you too, and I also need to thank Tara Savell, because some of these, there's a couple of pointers in there that she pointed out to me, and I was like, Oh, I know one big one that I missed. I could tell you really quickly. Well, it probably won't be really quick, but one thing that is really important is that, and I touched on it for sure, but one thing that's really important is that when you are working on your business, that you have to make sure that everything that you do, that the priority is about revenues, that you have to be bringing in money. And so when you're scheduling and you're prioritizing your work and you're looking at where you spend your time and where you put your most attention, it's got to be on those things that are going to be revenue building. And one of the things, if you haven't read it before, well, first of all, there's the Eat the Frog book, which is really good. And it sort of helps you strategize about doing the things that you don't want to do. And that's often what happens with stagers, is that we love to stage. So we'd rather do the staging than do the paperwork or the admin stuff that needs to get done. And that really is the thing that's going to make us successful, because it's going to help us propel us forward. So that book is really good. And another one that's really good is from Gary Keller, from Keller and Williams, or Keller Williams, and that is called The One Thing, and that's a really good book as well. And what they do in that book is they sort of guide you through the idea of prioritizing your work based on what one thing do I need to do this week in order to make my targets for this year, or my goals for this year, or my goal of this for this month, or whatever. So it sets you on a trajectory to achieve that goal. And what actually happens is when you start thinking about the one thing that you must do in order to make that happen, all the other things that you thought were on your to-do list all kind of fall into place anyway. And the ones that really didn't need to be on your to-do list, they just filter away because they weren't a priority. They don't need to be done. But when you focus on the one thing that you have to get done, that will help you. So, and really honestly, as a business owner, that one thing is very, very often about what are your revenues. And so if you said your one thing this month that you need to do is in order to reach your revenues, you have to have 5 $2,500 jobs. And so how am I going to get 5 $2,500 jobs? So that's your priority. That's your one thing, is to get those 5 $2,500 jobs. And that's how you do that. So that's very good. It's a very good book too. I recommend you read that. So it's Gary Keller, and it's called The One Thing. And it'll help you plan out your time as well during the week. Alrighty, so I'm off, and I have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you next Friday. All right, take care. Bye-bye.